Previously on the Gemini Hammer Show. It has been 4 damn months. Where the hell have we been? You want to hear how I lost my finger? This video is in no way, shape, or form an attack on any individuals. This is simply a retelling of events based on what I can prove. I was hired to work for a multi-billion-dollar a day company. My final position, I was called a bagger. I ended up suffering from a condition called trigger finger. I reported the injury to the then supervisors, who proceeded to take me to a room called the safety office. I was taken into the safety office, where my job was then threatened into signing a waiver of liability. That documentation apparently doesn't exist inside the company, inside the building that I worked at. As I'm more inclined to believe, the then supervisor decided to just throw it away. Meaning it doesn't exist. It's nowhere in the building. It's nowhere to be found. That doesn't seem very smart, if you ask me. Oh yeah, I know, right? I ended up just going to the hospital and having the whole thing taken care of myself. And what happened after you had the surgery? Eventually, I just ended up going right back to work. Like, what happened when you went back? Well, I think we're going to save that for the next video.
He's Gemini Hammer, rage and grace. The good side preaches and the bad side breaks. A skeleton face in a screaming storm. He's a double-edged soul, beautifully deformed. Two minds clash in a digital cage. He's peace and war on the same damn stage.
So I'm assuming that we're back today for the second part of the story? Yes. Are you going to lose your finger at this point? You'll just have to wait to find out. Alright, fine. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, what happened when you finally came back to work? Well, before we get into that, I do need to make one little correction. So, I kind of very basically said that I went ahead and had the surgery done myself. That surgery resulted in the removal of the first tendon sheath that holds the tendon to the body at the base of the finger. That was the result of what happened. So, from this point on, we will be calling it the first tendon sheath removed at the base of my finger, base of my index finger. That's not the removal of your finger. I know, we're not there yet. So would you like me to go ahead and continue from where I left off? Yes, please. All right, here we go. Going back to work at UPS, I learned a few new things, such as, at that point, I was officially a member of the local 413 Brotherhood of Teamsters. That's right, I was a union boy. Oh my God, what are you going to say about them? Absolutely nothing, because, honestly, I would like to keep a positive relationship with them in case I decide to go back that route. Wow, you're holding back restraint? I'm surprised. Yeah, I know, me too. Anyway, so going back, everything was all hunky-dory. Until, guess what? Guess what happened, G-Mini, to make it a miserable experience? I'm assuming that the Trigger finger came back. The trigger finger came back. But this time, it was a different area of the same finger. That's right, I had formed a new nodule behind the tendon sheath underneath the middle knuckle of my index finger. Completely unrelated to the first nodule that was still on the tendon. So it was just fucking fun. So did you report this one? Of course, I always report an injury in the workplace. Now, it's important to know at this point that all of management had been shooken up. Like, people had been reassigned, people had been promoted. And so the management that I had dealt with in the last video wasn't in the same position. This time, it was a completely different supervisor who I reported to. However, once I reported it, I was told, and I quote, "Somebody will be over to speak with you very soon." Would you like to know what didn't happen? I'm assuming nobody came over to speak with you. Nobody came over to speak with me. And so, because of that, I made a decision that I was going to do everything myself at that point. So, would you like to know what I did? What did you do? This time, however, I also filed for workers' comp. Not only did I file for workers' comp, I also submitted all the documentation myself to workers' compensation, to UPS's insurance, to my healthcare insurance, and I submitted documentation to UPS. Now, including myself, there were 5 entities involved in this situation. Would you like to know what the result of it was? Don't tell me it's going to be something extremely stupid. The result was only 4 out of 5 of the entities involved submitted documentation. One entity did not. It's almost like that entity had something to hide. But Gemini, come on. There's got to be a reason why that didn't happen. I mean, it's not like somebody who screwed you over before got promoted to a better position in the company and still had the ability to screw you over during this, right? You know, that's exactly what the hell happened. Then supervisor Zach McCraw, seen here looking down on every decision that you have ever made, was promoted from a part-time supervisor to a full-time supervisor, meaning he had more responsibilities. Come on. You can't believe that that's the case, can you? I will admit that while I do not have any evidence to fully back that up, the situation in and of itself at this point had begun to become a little, what's the word that I want to use? Suspicious, fishy, dubiously questionable at best. That last one was pretty good. Thank you. So what ended up happening after that whole situation? So it was around this time where I went ahead and had the second surgery done. Now, because the same tendon had grown a new nodule, it was just best to go ahead and remove the tendon as a whole. By the way, little science fact, you have 3 main tendons in each of your fingers. I was at that point down by 1. Man, so you still didn't have it removed? No, not yet. However, it was at that point, that day of the second surgery, I'll never forget when I came to I told Miss Hammer that there was going to be another injury, that my finger wasn't done yet. And so it was that moment that I made a promise to myself. I made a promise that I was going to solve the whole situation should there be a new injury. That sounds ominous as hell. Yes. Yes, it should. But it was also a promise that I aimed to fucking keep. So what happened when you actually went back to work? Well, when I first went back, after I was cleared, medically, that is, I tried to go to work, and when I walked into my building, I was met at the front door, and I was told, you can't come back to work until a decision is made on the workers' comp. But wait, they didn't submit any documentation. Exactly. Now, would you like to take a guess as to what happens when literally everybody except for your employer submits documentation to workers' compensation? What happens? Unfortunately, if your employer doesn't submit documentation, the entirety of the workers' compensation claim gets denied. Do you know what that means? Your compensation was denied? Yep, my compensation was denied. And it took a few weeks for that case to get heard. But it is what it is. However, something had started to grow inside of me. A hunger, a desire for information. I needed something to ignite that flame. Okay, so what happened next? Well, just like before, at the end of that entire situation, I just ended up going right back to work. Let me get this straight. At this point, you had 2 separate injuries, 2 separate surgeries, and UPS had not provided any documentation for any of it. Correct? Yeah. Yeah, so far you're about right. And you still haven't lost your finger, correct? Correct. Then why the fuck is this story taking so long? How much longer before you lose your damn finger? Not very long. Jesus Christ. All right, fine. So what happened next? Well, I think that's a story for the next video. No, you're not allowed to. I think I might end up having to put the next part of the story into its own 2-parter. Because, look, this is where everything is going to get really fucking dumb. And I mean really fucking dumb. Are you going to lose the finger? In the next part of the story, yes. I'll believe it when I see it. Great philosophy to have. So, anyway, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe, and follow button to stay up to date on all the new stuff from Gemini Hammer. That having been said, I'm Gemini Hammer. And I'm G-Mini waiting for this fucking story to be done. Suck it up, Buttercup. You'll be fine. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
He's Gemini Hammer, rage and grace. The good side preaches and the bad side breaks. A skeleton face in a streaming storm. He's a double-edged soul, beautifully deformed.